Welcome to 21st Sports, and today we're talking about Chip Kelly and the Philadelphia Eagles. As Lurie, the owner, Jeffery Lurie, has fired Chip Kelly as head coach of the Eagles. So it's interesting that they chose to cut him loose with one game left in the 2015 season. Kelly actually had a winning record with the Eagles. He had two 10-win seasons in his first two seasons as head coach. Of course, this year they have a losing record, but he has an overall winning record with the franchise. And they decide to cut him loose just shy of 3 years with the club. I actually think that they should have gave Kelly one more year to see if he could bounce back from this season and get back to the wins of the previous 2 years. But they cut him loose. Of course, I totally disagree with Chip Kelly's philosophy in terms of how he runs his offense, but I do respect that it is innovative, it's creative, and he's doing something different. He's not just thinking inside the box, and so I give him credit for that, although it does go against conventional wisdom and the fundamentals of football. Because as I see it, football is a game that is about the time of possession and keeping the ball in your offensive hands, and you got to grind it out. The game was born in the running game. They didn't even pass the ball at first when football was first invented. That came later. Yes, the passing game is exciting, it's fun to watch, and it has its place in the game, and you do need to have a good passing game. You can't just run the ball, but you have to have a strong running game. And that being said, it's interesting they brought in the rushing champion from a year ago, DeMarco Murray from the Cowboys. And the thing is, I mean, it obviously on the surface seems like a bust move to bring in DeMarco Murray. It did keep the Cowboys from winning the East, though. And the Cowboys might actually have won the NFC East if they had had DeMarco Murray. Of course, the Eagles didn't win the division, so therefore that was kind of a bust move, and it was a bust year. But they were right there on the verge. They actually, if they could have won their final two games, if they would have won the game against the Redskins, they would have been in a position to win the East. So they were very close to winning the division. They're right there on the verge. And so I think it was kind of an early move to fire Chip Kelly, and it puts them in a precarious position where now they're going to have to kind of start over from scratch. They're in a worse position without Chip Kelly. With Chip Kelly, they would have been in contention again next year. Now they're going to have to start all over. Sam Bradford's a free agent at the end of the year. Of course, there is the talks of whether DeMarco Murray, did he get Chip Kelly fired? Did it turn out to be a bad move on Chip Kelly's part right there to bring in the guy who eventually would get him the axe? Is, of course, DeMarco Murray talked with the owner on the plane. It's, been pretty widely publicized and reported. Of course, Lurie saying, no, it's not DeMarco Murray's fault. I decided to make this decision. It's because of the downward trend. As this year they were supposed to win the division and they were supposed to be on their way to the Super Bowl. Instead, they are below 500 and they fall shy of the division title. And that's why he made the move. But you gotta wonder, though, with DeMarco Murray being upset, and then with the words of Jeffery Lurie, it seems almost cryptically like he kind of was saying that it was DeMarco Murray. Here's just a snippet of what Lurie said. I'll actually leave a link in the description to the article on NFL.com that has an actual video of Lurie speaking these words and also more detail as to what he said in the article. But here's just a little clip from it. I'll repeat his words. These are Jeffery Lurie's words. This is a quote from the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, and he says, "You're dealing with 22 to 35 or more aged people and people who are elite athletes trying to perform at the very peak of their profession, and there's a lot of issues. And what is leadership like in today's world? It's very, very different than it was 10, 15 years ago. I would like to think that we're always going to try and be on the progressive end of how to lead." Interesting. So that's the quote from the owner of the Eagles, Jeffery Lurie, and he says, It's, what is leadership in today's world? It's very, very different than it was 10 or 15 years ago. Really? Is leadership different than it was 10 or 15 years ago? Let's go in the Wayback Machine. Let's go back to 10 or 15 years ago. Back to the time of 2000 to 2005. What happened during those years? Oh, let's see. It's the New England Patriots, and they win 3 out of 4 Super Bowls with Bill Belichick as their head coach, as their leader. Now let's come to the present. Who won the last Super Bowl championship? Oh, it was the Patriots with Bill Belichick as their head coach. Well, it looks to me like leadership is exactly the same today as it was 10 or 15 years ago. So what is Jeffery Lurie talking about? And also he wants to be on the progressive end of things. Well, sounds like the wussification of football to me there in Philadelphia. They want to start, let's get all the football players their own personal nanny and counselor and coddle them because we can't have an actual, football coach. But let's look at Chip Kelly's record in Oregon and in the NFL. Of course, he was 10-6 in his first 2 seasons in 2013 and 2014, and then 6-9 before being fired, giving him an overall record of 26-21 as head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a winning percentage of .553. So he's over 500 in the NFL. And in college, when he was with Oregon as their head coach from 2009 to 2012. In 2009, he was 10-3. 2010, 12-1. 2011, 12-2. And in 2012, 12-1. That's 46-7 as the head coach there at Oregon. That's a win percentage of .868. Almost 900, just shy of 900 there at Oregon. Of course, who was the quarterback at Oregon for Chip Kelly? Marcus Mariota. And there is some word that maybe Chip Kelly will go to Tennessee and be the head coach of the Titans, that maybe they could end up reuniting. We shall see. It's a little early to speculate on that. This is the thing, though. You see how much more success Chip Kelly had at Oregon versus Philadelphia. He was successful in Philadelphia. You can't say he wasn't. He was above 500. He definitely had success in the first 2 years there before having this one setback here, a little speed bump there in 2015 here. But I think that his style is best fitted for college personally. As I said, I respect his style of coaching. It's a very fast tempo, upbeat type of style. I think that's best fitted though for college. And this is the reason why. In the pros, you only have a 52-man roster. And that's why it's tough to have the players just be out there trying to go. Only using 20 seconds of a 40-second play clock, trying to run twice as many plays. You see that actually, in actuality, they end up having the ball only 1/3 of the game. Their time of possession hovered around 20 minutes all season long. The thing is, in the college game, you have an unlimited, roster. You can have 100 and some odd guys on your roster, and at a school like Oregon, you're going to have, 3, 4, 5 running backs that are all, top caliber guys that could be starting on other college programs, but instead they're at Oregon because it's one of the top schools in the whole nation. And there's a lot of those top schools are like that, where you can have so much depth. I mean, look at Ohio State this year with the 3 quarterbacks, although that didn't quite pan out the way people thought it would for the Buckeyes. But you get my point, is that they have so much depth at the college level that you can run that up-tempo, fast game, but it's tough to translate that to the from college to the pro level. It worked at Oregon. It worked like a gem. I mean, he had a ton of success there, and you got to believe that universities are going to be lining up around the corner to hire Chip Kelly, but it's going to be a question of whether Chip Kelly wants to stay in the NFL or go back to college. I don't think it's a step down. I think that actually it's just as prolific of an accomplishment to go and have success at the college level. Why not go dominate the college level and write your history, stamp yourself in that book? I mean, he already has some history there, and he had quite the career at Oregon and even New Hampshire before that. But, to go back and really solidify, he already won, a Rose Bowl, a Fiesta Bowl. He's won a playoff game in the NFL. That's the thing, too. He's going to have some opportunities in the NFL. Right now, it seems like the coaching pool is a little bit thin. Then again, let's go and look at some of the coaching possibilities. But as for now, though, with the Eagles, Pat Shurmur has been elevated to the interim head coach from the offensive coordinator position. And then Bill Davis, I think he's actually the one that should get a little bit more of the blame in terms of the team's, lack of success. Not to dump on Bill Davis, but if you look at statistically speaking, the Eagles' offense ranked up there pretty high, at least in the first couple of years. But all throughout the Chip Kelly era, the defense was the problem. And, they were asked to do a lot, though. That's the thing is, the defense is on the field 40 minutes of the game. It's kind of tough. That's where they really need the depth is on the defensive side. And they had the depth on the offensive side, but the offense wasn't producing. And then the defense needs to be extremely deep if you're going to expect them to be on the field for 2/3 of the game. But they did not have that depth. But going back to the coaches that are out there that are possibilities to land in Philadelphia, you never know. These are just some of the names that are being kicked around. There's Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Darrell Bevel, the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Pat Fitzgerald, the head coach at Northwestern. Adam Gass, the offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. There's talk that Mike Holmgren might come out of retirement. Of course, they're saying that he would only go to the San Francisco 49ers. You got Hugh Jackson, offensive coordinator with the Cincinnati Bengals. Brian Kelly, the head coach at Notre Dame. Doug Marrone, the assistant head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Previously the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. And then you got Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for the Patriots. Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator for the Patriots. Sean McDermott, the defensive coordinator for the Panthers. Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator for the Panthers. Jim Mora, the head coach for UCLA. Nick Saban, the head coach for Alabama. Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. And David Shaw, the head coach from Stanford. Those are just some of the names that are being kicked around, of course. It remains to be seen what's going to happen with some of the other coaches, if they're going to be able to stay in, their positions with their teams, like Chuck Pagano's possibility. He's up in the air as to whether he's going to return as the coach for the Colts. Also, Mike McCoy out there in San Diego. Codwell's also a possibility with Detroit, is which direction they're going to go in. Is they're going to be hiring a new GM, and it's remains to be seen as to whether they're going to stick with Codwell or not. But those are just some of the names. Let me know, though, what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions about what you think, who is going to be the coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. Also, what do you think about Chip Kelly being fired? Do you think that they should have let him go when they did? It's understandable with the way the team performed this year, because they really did struggle, that they would cut their ties with Kelly and end the Chip Kelly experiment. I still, though, think that they should have gave him one more year to possibly right the ship. But, we see, though, that they were finally, they just wanted to be done with it. That's why they didn't even wait till the end of the year. But let me know what you think in the comments section below, if you thought they should have stuck with him for another year, or if they should have already had gotten rid of him, if this was something that was just inevitable. Either way, I'm definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and having a great weekend, and enjoy all the sports.